Welcome everybody to another episode of the Mind Right Game Tie segment. Today's guest is Jake Kelfer. Jake is a high energy motivational speaker on a mission to help people achieve their own definition of success. So through his speaking, Jake aims to elevate everyone to live a life full of passion, happiness, and fun. He is the author of Elevate Beyond and soon to be published Elevate Your Network. Jake is also the founder of the Professional Basketball Combine, which provides NBA draft prospects an opportunity to raise their draft stock and achieve their dream of playing professional basketball through private workouts, combine testing, and team interviews. So welcome to the show, Jake. We're glad to have you on.
Yeah, happy to be here, Michelle. Thanks so much for bringing me on. Let's do this.
Awesome. So the Professional Basketball Combine, you had your first combine back in May. So can you tell us a little bit about what that actually is? Because I think if we hear combine, we're used to NBA Combine.
Right. So it's very similar to the NBA Combine. And so what it is, the Professional Basketball Combine was essentially another way for prospects to be seen. Right. And so what we identified was that this year is the first year for two-way contract spots, which means every team has two more roster spots. So that's 60 new spots. There are also 3 new G League teams announced this year, and it looks like the G League is becoming more and more of a minor league system. So we knew right off the bat that there were going to be a lot more prospects that needed to be seen. Plus, the way the NBA is going, there's always these prospects now that are coming from these smaller schools that don't necessarily get the national media attention. So we knew that there were going to be some people that we could find, hidden gems, people that were unknown, that maybe if we put it together in an atmosphere, teams would come, players would come, agents would come, and we'd be able to create something very, very special. And so this was the first year, as you mentioned, and we had 23 draft prospects. Each of them competed in private workouts in front of scouts and executives. They competed in combine testing, where they would do the similar things as the NBA Combine. And then they also had the opportunity to interview with the teams for the teams really to get to know them and decide where they would either be drafting them, whether they would be going to another workout, or if they wanted them on their summer league team. And so of those 23 players, we actually had 9 end up being signed at some point through the preseason process and the training camp process.
So how was the idea initially created? Like, how did you come up with this concept, even though, you know, the NBA is it's a large brand. So how did you come up with this idea to say, you know, hey, we need to do something else, knowing that, yes, there are like the mid-major schools where there are talent, but to put this all together, how did that idea come to fruition?
First of all, the NBA, so the NBA is my favorite sports organization out there. I love the NBA. Everything that I've ever done was to be in the NBA, to work for the NBA, everything, right? So to be able to create something that was in conjunction, not necessarily associated with the NBA, but to be tied into the summer of NBA was really, really exciting. And the idea stemmed after I had gone to an agency pro day. And I had gone as a third party to watch, to learn, to see how these agents operated their players, to showcase them in front of scouts and executives. And this was hosted at IMG Academy back in June of 2016. And I immediately fell in love with IMG's campus. I don't know if you've ever been there, if your audience has ever been there, but it's in Bradenton, Florida, and it's just the most beautiful campus ever. And I was like, okay, there's got to be a way for more players to experience this. And that was when the initial idea was planted. But it took a couple months as we went through that season. I had a couple great mentors in the process, and they introduced me to a couple people to kind of get the ideas rolling and the balls going. And one thing led to the next, and by the beginning of the year, we had decided that the Professional Basketball Combine was about to take place. And then we had to go from there and figure out, how do we build this, right? We had an idea, and we had to bring that idea into fruition. And so that was what took place over the next 5 months or so before we had the inaugural PBC.
Nice. And so to get, like, how many representatives did you have from like NBA, G League, and then overseas? Like, how many representatives did you have there?
We had 16 NBA teams represented and 25 scouts and executives in year one. And that was a combination of NBA and G League, mostly NBA. And then if they had worked in the G League or they had worked with their affiliates, they were, you know, reporting for them as well. And then in terms of overseas, we didn't have anybody in attendance because it was the EuroLeague Final Four at the time of our event last year, but we had several of our players sign overseas contracts because of their performance in the Professional Basketball Combine. It definitely elevated their stock as they started to look into those opportunities overseas.
And then how did you form those relationships with the scouts and the representatives in the NBA for them to say, you know, yeah, we have this NBA combine and okay, I guess we'll check out this other combine. Like, how did you build those relationships because it's a trust for them to say, you know what, Jake, yeah, I'm going to come check it out. I know you. So like, what's your background, or how did you build that relationship?
Yeah, to be honest, it was a grind. It was a grind because I'm on the younger side of the business. And so I haven't had, 25 years in the business where I've built all these incredible relationships. But what I have is I had something that I knew was providing a solution. It was adding value to other people. And I'm a big believer in relationships. If you can add value to somebody and make their lives easier or better or more fulfilled or happier, then they're going to eventually want to be a part of what you're doing. And so because I knew I had a great value proposition and I knew that it was going to add value, I was able to connect with the people that I needed to connect with. And then on top of that, I was constantly looking at my network, identifying who might know someone that might know somebody else, and playing that game of 6 degrees of separation, which I think with social media, it might even be smaller now. But for me with these relationships was just trying to say, look, I'm building this. I'd love for you guys to join us. I was very transparent, very honest with what we were doing. And I'm very thankful that people were believing in what I was offering, and they came, and I overpromised and I overdelivered. So that was the biggest thing for me, was to be able to really provide something of value, because I knew that in order for a team to take a risk, to get on a plane, they wanted to see something that was going to lead to a benefit for them. And I think ultimately we were able to provide that for everybody involved.
Right. And then how did you get the players there? So how did you put the word out? Are you constantly, not just watching the games that are on TV during the college basketball season? How are you reaching out to those players who are the hidden gems that, people might be overlooking?
Right. So in year one, it was a lot of working with the agents, because this was a new event. So a traditional invite wouldn't necessarily have made sense for year one, because people would have been getting this invitation and we would have been thinking, oh, it's awesome. But they would have been like, what is this? Right. And so we needed to really build what we were creating, and we needed to hype it up, and we need to get people involved. So there were a couple agents early on that committed their players, and I'm very thankful for those people as well. But working with the agents was really the best way we did it. And then as it started to build up steam, we had people starting reaching out to us. We started, having a selection process. We started watching film. We really broke down who we really wanted to be there, because we wanted to provide, like I said, the best value. So if that meant having the best players there, we had to look through the film to identify who do we see playing at the next level, and what skill sets do these guys possess? How's their character off the court? Because for me, it doesn't matter if you're just the best basketball player. It matters for me if you have a good character, if you're going to be a good teammate, a good leader on the court. And a lot of that had to do with how the agent sold their players. A lot of that had to do with how they looked on film. I watch players when they come off the court at a timeout. Do they run? Do they high-five someone? Do they tell the manager to F off, right? What are they doing when they come off? Because that type of person is going to be someone that can translate their game. And then obviously, you have players that are just fantastic players that have just maybe been overlooked, or that are just doing some great things. And you're like, yeah, we need this person here. This person's great. And so we had a wide range of people, from well-known people that everyone's known for a couple years. And we had a couple people that no one had ever heard of before, because we were trying something new. But the player process came with a lot of the relationships with the agents and who they were signing. And then it started to pick up steam.
Got it. And then you mentioned invite only. So can you talk about the importance of your combine, this, professional basketball combine, and the difference? Because knowing that maybe people don't know that, only a certain number of people get invited. It's not just saying I'm going to declare for the NBA draft and I'm going to show up on this combine or this NBA combine on NBA TV and you're going to see me working out. So can you describe there's two different combines, right? And it's invitation, and why yours is so important to give those others an opportunity.
Well, so let's break that down. That's an awesome question, Michelle. And if we break that down, you have the NBA Combine, which is the official combine, and that was held in Chicago this past year. And that features about the top 60 to 70 prospects, with some of the most elite prospects sitting out because if they don't want to hurt their draft stock, right? If you're already at number 1, 2, or 3, playing might only hurt you, right? So that's one of the big things. But that's an invite-only thing, and it's a great honor to be invited. But there's still a lot of other players that slide into the late round of the draft that get picked up over summer league. And our combine was to create a complementary product to what the NBA already does. Like I said, I love the NBA, and I think Adam Silver and the rest of the team over in the NBA is doing an incredible job with the combine and the way that the league is going. But I thought that there was another thing that we could add and solve that provide that solution for those extra players. And what we offer is a secondary combine. So it's for guys that are right on the cusp of getting drafted, guys that were alternates to the NBA combine, guys that were declaring for the draft but maybe a little bit more unknown. Maybe they had gone to mid-major and hadn't received that national attention, or maybe they had just been injured and they were coming off an injury. We were willing to take these chances on these guys and put them all in one location for the NBA teams to come with minimum risk. And that's what we provide. So we provide a great value to the players, giving them an opportunity, to the agents to allow their players to show them that they're doing the work for them, that they're giving them these opportunities, and then for the teams to be able to see these amazing players in action in one location, getting ready for the upcoming NBA draft and NBA summer leagues.
Thank you for clarifying all that. And so what does it look like when I step onto that combine? Like, I know, what is it, like 3 days? So can you describe what that process looks like when I get there and how it kind of flows throughout those 3 days?
The process is ever evolving as we go through next week. But essentially, every player was broken up into 4 groups of 6. That's kind of how we did the breakdown. And as we had each group of 6, they were going to go on court and they would compete in shooting drills, which is what the NBA Combine has them doing. They were in offensive sets. So our 2 lead trainers, did an incredible job of practicing some 3-on-0 offensive sets, some 3-on-3 offensive sets, where they were really showing them what do NBA teams look for? What kind of offenses do they run? And they would put them through that so teams could see, are they coachable? Are they able to implement exactly what they're learning right on the spot? And then we would have the players do scrimmaging. And that was about an hour-and-a-half workout, and that's what we did in year 1. So your on-court time was about an hour-and-a-half. And then after the workouts, you would go do your combine testing either on that day or the day after or the day before your workouts. It just depended on our scheduling. But essentially, you're on the court. You get that on-court workout. You get your combine testing, which is everything from lane agility to shuttle time to vertical jump to standing reach, with shoes, without shoes, your height, your weight, all of those great things, quarter court sprint. and just everything. And then we had the team interview component. So after the workouts were done, we opened up team interviews, and we had everybody in their own individual room, really just diving deep, getting to know these players, getting to know the teams. And then we did the same thing all over again the next day. And that got us our 23 players, all organized and played out.
Nice. I mean, I love this concept, and I love like having that opportunity for, the people who are the hidden gems to go out and give themselves an opportunity to showcase their talent in front of these NBA scouts and others as well. And also, by reading your website, you also provide the housing and the food. So it's like you're going there not to worry about that stuff. You're going there to focus on showcasing yourself. So I think that's awesome as well, to just have that prepared and ready to go.
Yeah, and that's why we teamed up with IMG as our host site, because their academy is just fantastic. I mean, they provide all the housing. They have cafeterias and food. They have the transportation. They have shuttles going back and forth from the gym and the housing. I mean, it was a really great fit for them to be our host site for the event. And to kind of bring it kind of all together too, and I'm sure we'll keep diving in about more, but the players, we had a great mix of guys, and we've been using this hidden gems term, which we had some great hidden gems, and then we had some guys that were really well known, but they were just right on that cusp. And so it was really for them getting that chance to say, hey, look, I'm on this cusp, but I need to be here. And one of those players that was right on the cusp was Antonio Blakeney from LSU. Antonio Blakeney did an incredible job at our event. Everyone had already known who he was, but he solidified that he belongs in the NBA, got invited to be on a summer league team, did a great job, got a 2-way contract spot, and actually scored his first basket in opening night for the Chicago Bulls. So that was a remarkable story. Then we have several other great stories from our guys that were either relatively unknown or that were right on that cusp. So we did have a great mix. And I just wanted to make sure that I had mentioned that about all of our guys.
Yeah. Is there a story about one of the hidden gems, maybe from a school that maybe no one's heard of, or we don't know who this person is, that had a success story as well?
So, I mean, there were a couple other great success stories, but one of them there's two that really come to mind, and one of them is this player. His name was Tajan Keita, and Tajan was from a school in Canada, and I looked him up when his agent had told me about him, because his agent also represents Troy Coupain from Cincinnati, who we really wanted, and he's like, Jake, you got to take a look at this kid. I'm telling you. And I looked him up, and I go online. I can't find anything about this kid. There's maybe one YouTube video of him training in what looks like 3 years ago. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know if we can do this. But, you know, his agent was really selling him. And I was like, can you send me some more information about him? And so we really did our research on him. And we were like, you know what, let's do it. And this guy had a workout. People started to be intrigued by him. He got to play for Toronto Raptors Summer League team. And then right at the end of training camp, the Phoenix Suns signed him, only to waive him a little bit later. But we'll see how that comes into play with what happens next, whether he goes into the G League or he ends up playing overseas. But he's an incredible story of someone who nobody really knew, came to our event, started to get national exposure, and has had some great opportunities since then. So we're very blessed that we took that chance on him, and we're very thankful for him, you know, wanting to be a part of our event in the first year.
Awesome. That's awesome to those athletes and those success stories as well. And now going into the event for these athletes, I'm sure it's, you know, they feel the pressure like before they probably even get on the plane, knowing like who they're going to be in front of. So how do you and, you know, your team help mentally prepare them to stay focused and kind of, I know it's easier said than done to, you know, just act like it's a normal day, it's a normal workout, but how do you mentally prepare the athletes to, you know, pull forth their full potential?
I mean, to be honest, we didn't do a whole lot to prepare them, because when you're at this point of your life, right, as a player, you've declared for the NBA draft, meaning that you've been doing your pre-draft workouts, your pre-draft training for almost a month now, depending on how your team did in the NCAA tournament, or if you didn't even play in the NCAA tournament, right? And so for us, every player knows what's on the line for them. They know what's at stake. They know that this could be a life-changing experience for them. So when they all got there, we did a little welcome dinner the night before we got on the court. And I just told everyone that this is their opportunity. You know, you've all been here for a reason. You've all played ball your whole life. This is where your dream comes true. And there was nothing really that I could say, or that anybody on my team or anyone in the room could say to these kids, these young men who are about to change their lives, because they know they've worked so hard for it. They've practiced so hard. They've trained so hard for them. And they knew that a good performance here could make all the difference in their career. And so when you talk about mentally preparing them from that standpoint, a lot of them are ready to go. They're fired up. They're jacked up because this is their chance. And for me to be able to provide that for them is what mentally prepared me for their experience being there, because I also didn't know what was going to happen. And I wanted to make sure that each player was in the best conditions as possible to perform to the best of their ability. And that's what we were able to do to help them get as ready as possible. But ultimately, it's up to the players. They know what's at stake and they have to perform.
Right. So what's your vision on how the combine is going to continue to grow and develop? Like, what's that vision look like for you?
Huge vision. Huge. No, with the we're working on a couple great things. Nothing set in stone yet, so I don't want to share any early details. But the 2018 PBC is going to be something pretty spectacular. We're going to continue to expand it. We're going to continue to increase our talent. We're going to continue to increase our partnerships. We really just want to be able to provide something that the NBA and the G League and these overseas teams can gain value from. And if we can continue to provide a platform for players to gain exposure and teams to see new players or to see players again, then that's what we're here to do. So first and foremost is to continue to provide an incredible service and an incredible event for the people that we have involved. And then hopefully continue to have some fun while we do it. I mean, like I said, I love the game of basketball and I love being around it. And if we can continue to get more people and make a difference in these players' lives, then that's what it's all about.
Awesome. And so what's your advice for someone, say like a student athlete, maybe they're in junior high or high school or even college, who's saying, you know, like my goal is to play professional basketball. What is your advice for them? Because now you've been around people who've actually reached this goal or this achievement. So what's your advice on those people who say that's what they strive for?
the advice question, that could go on for hours and hours and hours. But, you know, one of the things that is true in my story and true for a lot of these player stories is their unwavering desire to keep persevering. And most of these players and people in our lives were told that we can't do something, or that our dreams are crazy, or that we shouldn't be doing this. But how we respond to that criticism, how we respond to that negativity, and how we channel that to move forward is ultimately what we're going to use to achieve our success. So for a player in junior high, a player that's in high school, a player that's in college that wants to play professional basketball, you got to go for it. You got to do everything that you can. You got to know that there's always someone out there that's better than you, that's working harder than you. But if you can determine in your mind that nobody is going to stop you and you're going to do everything that you can, then that's going to provide the best chance for you on your journey. Because we're not all created equal on the basketball court. We're not all created equal in our minds of how we see the game. But we all have a chance to choose how successful we're going to be by practicing, putting in the effort, and never giving up. So the big advice, you got to just go for it, and you got to enjoy the process.
Yeah, it sounds like you got to have fun. And like you said, persevering through anything. So whenever there's adversity or hardship, or things aren't going our way, then, you know, we got to figure out a way how to move forward. If that's what we truly say we want to achieve, then you got to find a way to continue moving forward in a positive direction as well. Jake, is there anything else you want to add in regards to the combine that you want to share?
No, I mean, I think we hit a lot of the best topics. If anyone's interested in following along the combine, we have a Twitter account, Instagram account at Pro B-Ball Combine. And, you know, we hope to have more people follow along, and we look forward to really making it a great event. And that's the PBC.
Awesome. And then what's the website? So if anybody's out there interested in getting more information about it, what's the website for the combine as well?
The website is professionalbasketballcombine.com.
Straightforward, simple. Awesome, Jake. Well, thank you so much for being on the Mind Right Game Tight show. Just so everybody knows, we're going to have another video with Jake, and he's going to talk about his program on elevating your sports career. So anybody who's interested in continuing a career in sports, maybe it's not necessarily being the athlete on the court, but there's all the behind-the-scenes people that still, you know, work to make that show run that you see on TV, so you can still, you know, be around the sport that you love to do while it's your job and your passion and your love. Thank you, Jake, for being on, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you, Michelle. Awesome.